So you beautiful people, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to react to this particular video that's currently going viral of a high school student who gets into an altercation with a teacher. And as a consequence of that altercation, the teacher ends up breaking her leg. And I've not watched the whole video in its entirety, but I have read an article about it. And I'm just going to give you my thoughts and feelings as we go through. But I also want you guys down in the comment section to give me your thoughts and feelings, whether you agree, disagree with me, or what your gut instinct and feeling is when you actually watch this particular video. So let's watch the video and then we'll get into the nitty gritty of it. Okay, so I gotta pause it already. This is becoming all too familiar, and it's a trend which I don't understand and I'll never understand. Any teacher I disliked in school, and there was a couple, because it was very clear that those individuals clearly didn't like me either. I don't know what it was, but there were certain occasions where I might enact something like this in here. I might feel that way, but I would never, ever in a million years consider actually doing it in real life, because it was just something that was against my moral code because of the way I was raised. And I feel that children feel too comfortable in this day and age to confront adults in this manner and think there's no consequences to the said thing that they're doing. And already I can tell this is a child that has no boundaries or any type of discipline in the place of home, because I can tell you right now, coming from a predominantly Caribbean background, I understood there were consequences for certain behaviors in my mom's household, in my auntie's household, any of my auntie's household, my grandmother's household. It was something that was passed down from generation to generation. Those who don't hear must feel. And the feel was often well, I won't say often because I didn't get beat often, but there were occasions where I got slapped because my behavior was just off the charts in levels of disrespect or disappointment. So I'd get 6 of the best, it was called. All the Caribbean people watching now understand exactly what I'm on about. And it used to be that blue cane that held up my nan's plants. And it was either on the hand, on the palm, or as each syllable. If I really aggravated people, each syllable you got the beating with, you know. You must never do that. That was the type of discipline that I got. Now, some people might feel to themselves watching that is out of order, but I will say it's what kept me in line to become quite a successful young man. And I look back in admiration for my mum, my aunties, my grandmother, my granddad, for instilling that particular discipline in me. Because I would, even if I thought it in my head, I would never even consider getting up in a teacher's personal space in this particular regard. Wow, you're not gonna talk to me like that. You're not gonna talk to me like that. You're not gonna talk to me like that. So there's a ego and an attitude problem. You're not going to talk to me like that. You're a child. Shut your mouth. If an adult's talking to you, you shut your mouth. That's how I was raised. If an adult is talking, you're a child. Shut your mouth and listen.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my God. Put your hands on me. Yeah, I swear to God, if you don't get your hands, put your hands on me.
So she's saying she's going to start swinging. So she's now verbally threatened the teacher. The teachers had to try and, restrain her to some degree. And the teacher walked off as well. So she can see that this is escalating. And there have been certain people in a few articles I've read, because it's opened a massive debate on whether the teacher needs to learn to de-escalate things more proper, which we'll talk about shortly. But anyway, let's watch the rest of it. So something I find disturbing, I'm sorry to pause the video again, but something I find disturbing right now is everyone in the background in this classroom is currently laughing at the situation. You can see there's a mobile phone just in front of us, just by the timing of the video. Everybody is doing what society does now, and it's something that really, really winds me up. Everybody, when somebody is going through some sort of drama, something's kicking off, one of these comes out, and quite often it's somebody that actually needs some real help. Now, I'm not suggesting for a second that you go and help every single person, because you can put yourself in the line of danger very easily with certain things that kick off in the streets. But in a classroom here, I feel like somebody should intervene. There are several males in the situation, and I think there should be somebody with some moral fiber here, several people who should feel the need to want to intervene here. So that's obviously where she's hurt herself and broke her leg.
Oh, goddamn!
I'm getting pretty wound up watching this, to be honest with you. I can understand everyone's getting hyped because there's a fight going on. And I'd be a hypocrite to say to you at school when a fight kicked off, I didn't act like this, because I did. But that was because the said fight I'm talking about usually happened between two students. And I went to an all-boys school, so it was always an altercation between two boys. We pay pay-per-view for entertainment to watch people fight. It's just, I think it's an innate thing in us. However, in this particular situation, every portion of my morals is telling me if I was there, I would want to intervene, because it shouldn't be. This is a fight that should not be happening. And I think people should feel embarrassed for just sitting there, because I've got a question. And I know not everyone agrees with my stance watching this video, and that's fine, because we're all entitled to our opinions, and you're watching this video because you want to hear mine. I would ask any student in this classroom what they would do if that teacher was their mother and everybody just watched this student lay into her in that manner. Because I'm pretty certain everybody's attitude would change, and everyone would be just as annoyed as me that people have chose to record instead of intervene. And it's because we've allowed children to become comfortable in this world in disrespecting adults. I understood as a child there was certain things that my mum and adults could do that I was not allowed to do, and it went without saying because of certain lessons that had been instilled in me. Do as I say, not as I do, was something that I heard growing up a lot as a child, because sometimes you would be curious and ask the question as a child, Mommy, why can you do that but I'm not allowed to? And then once I'd got the explanation, okay. And sometimes it was as simple as, I'm an adult, you're a child, know your place. And that's the problem here. Children do not know their place in society anymore, because we've allowed certain things to change in their favor. Now, I understand why certain things have changed because of safeguarding, but I think we've gone, as a lot of things in society, we've gone so far the other way that we've kind of missed the point. No child, and I mean no child, should feel comfortable stepping up to an adult in that regard. No child. And I don't understand how this mentalities come across. I don't know how things work in the States, but over here in the UK, I've already told you guys, I was disciplined verbally mainly when I grew up, but sometimes I was disciplined with the cane, or I got a smack. My mum had discipline like that in her school. She got the ruler across the hand. I didn't have that. I just got detention and I was made to write lines, line after line, repeatedly saying, I will not disrupt the classroom. I will not disrupt the classroom. That was my punishment, wasting my time. So I'd spend an hour in detention after school. We have changed the rules so much in the UK that children have got to the point where they will phone social services on their parents because their parents discipline them by smacking them. And then, as a consequence of that, and it sometimes backfires on the child gets taken away and put with a care family. And sometimes it's ironic because it's not what they wanted, but it's a consequence of their delinquents. And I think that's what we're seeing in society in this day and age, where kids feel comfortable in confronting teachers in this manner, where kids feel comfortable to have that kind of attitude where they are talking to an adult as if they're on the same level. You guys can tell me down in the comment section if you disagree with me here, but not for a second would I consider, even if I was thinking it, doing this sort of thing to a teacher. I might play it over in my head and fantasize till the cows come home as to what I'd do to them, but it just wouldn't come out. It wouldn't come out in the physical world because I knew better than that. I was taught better than that, and the fear of God was in me for anyone having to even report back to my mum that I'd gone as far as this young lady in the video. Now, I've read a few articles about this because it's been a topic of hot debate, and there are people who believe that the teacher needs to de-escalate better, and their opinion. People are going to have their opinions because opinions are opinions. Everyone's got one, and everyone's entitled to one. But for me, people are talking about the teacher learning to de-escalate this situation. A teacher shouldn't have to come to school to deal with this type of student. Anyway, this type of student shouldn't be in school. Shouldn't be in school. They should be in the army or something like that, where they're going to have discipline drilled into them, because she's saying to the teacher, you don't get to talk to me like that. I remember getting the hairdryer treatment as if my mum or my teacher was a drill sergeant. I had teachers point blank in my face shouting at me because that's what discipline was back then. But I feel like we've become so soft as a society that we now will bow down to children and allow them to act like brats when they're borderline at the point where they've got to learn certain behaviors because they're about to become an adult, and the consequences of the said type of behavior, the consequences are totally different. It's prison time and all that stuff. And speaking of prison time, it seems as if this young girl's been reprimanded and she's currently in a juvenile detention center, which I think that's where she needs to be going because she's clearly going to be a problem. In terms of de-escalating things, listen, it's hard for teachers in this day and age. I really, really empathize with teachers who have to go to schools and know that they potentially are going to be physically assaulted for trying to educate people. And remember, there are loads of people who are passionate about going to a school because they grew up in a deprived area. They know the children are in a deprived area. The statistics and probability of them not making it into society and flourishing are already pushed against them. And these teachers are actively trying to do their best to do right by these children and seeing if they can steer them on that straight and narrow. I had a teacher in my school, God rest his soul, Mr. Bowen, who I got kicked out of class sometimes because there was a particular teacher, I won't name no names, that I just really didn't get on. Me and her, I always got sent out of the classroom, and that's where I ended up with Mr. Bowen. And he taught me certain lessons from a different perspective and spoke to me in a different way, a way that I understood as a black man. He as a black child, he was a black man. He was more like a father figure in the way he spoke to us, and he made us see things from a different perspective, where we needed to understand that we needed to change our behavior. So when people talk about de-escalation, maybe that's the angle that they're coming from, but he was somebody that wasn't directly involved in a situation like this. He picked up the pieces after. And I think there's a lot of kids like this one who would benefit from having a mentor who can really get down to the deep core roots as to why the child's behaving in the manner that they're behaving, because she's obviously angry deep down with something, and there is a real attitude problem here where she believes she can confront adults. Down in the comment section, guys, you let me know your thoughts and feelings as to what I've said, whether you agree, disagree, but more importantly, what is your core feeling in your fibers when you watch this video? Because morally, I could not sit by and watch this happen in front of me, to someone who's trying to educate kids and potentially trying to improve their life as they go out into the big bad world that's so scary right now, as adults. Guys, there are many buttons you could hit, but like and subscribe button, I'll be there to take your fancy. And as always, guys, don't forget to stay on the right track. Peace.